Welcome back, Insufferable gaming fans. Your old pal SirRosser here. Recently, I finished up Shadows of Cairn. As a reward to myself, I've decided to play a good game. Well, a decent game. It's a game that suffers from many translation errors, but let's hear the story. This is a story told by wise men. It's a story of the Frail Empire, which is a very appropriate moniker, and it was ruled by King Magrid. Now you're gonna love this. He was a good king, but some thought that he was greedy. One day, he heard about Dr. Leo, who had a degree in science. The king stayed up many nights pondering this science, and he came up with a plan. A brilliant plan. And he had Dr. Leo kidnapped and brought to him at once. What was the king's great plan? I'm glad you asked. The king made the scientist invent a machine to summon the devil, so that he could make a deal with the devil. He kidnapped a scientist to make a science machine to summon the devil. And the deal they made was that the devil would give him $1 for every living thing he brought to the devil. And so he did. He brought living things to the devil for $1 apiece. 2 people were watching this catastrophe, the Master and you, by which the game means the player. You understand, of course, that by you I mean me, since I'll be playing. And the Master, aka God, sent his follower, which you could say is an angel, because, let's face it, that's what they're talking about here. And that is the story of Soulblazer. Now this is part of an unofficial trilogy, which includes this game, Illusion of Gaia, and Terranigma. But it also ties into ActRaiser and ActRaiser 2, which are also very cool games by Enix, back before they became Square Enix. So, we're being addressed by God here as a follower, and we will be able to speak with all living things. And we have to choose a name for ourselves, so of course, I'm going to choose a name that is a monument to my vanity, as I tend to do in these things. Yeah, it's an interesting name. It's the most interesting name in the world. But we have to go forth and save all creatures. But not those creatures. Okay, we start out with nothing, but we get a sword, which kind of makes you wonder why they didn't just start you with the sword. But here's what we can do. We can slash with the B button. We can do this with R and L, which allows us to do a weaker stabbing, but it does continuous damage. It allows us to crab walk, and it allows us to telepathically draw the drops from the enemies towards us. Like that. Now this game, in this game, you have a really generous arc for your weapon slashing, but basically monsters come out of those pink glowing ports, and then when they're all dead, they turn into these green glowing ports. And when you step on one, you change the environment in some way, whether it be releasing a creature, like this guy, or just opening the way forward. This guy, it's a good thing we found him first, because he's explaining all this stuff to us. So we have to free everyone. Even the release of a small tree or creature will assist us in our quest. And it's dangerous to go alone, so we take this. We got the flame ball magic. And he will join us. He is a magician, so we can use all types of magic. Now, mind you, we can't just use the magic ourselves. This magician that we've freed is going to use it for us, but he needs gems to do it. Those are those golden round thingies. And there he is. Now, for the first bit of magic we've got, it is a fireball, which is reasonable enough. Whichever we are facing, it will shoot a fireball, but not from us. Oh no. From the ball. So we have to make sure the ball is lined up where we want to shoot this spell. Also, we can kind of glitch the ball out and make it move forward without us if we get trapped on a ledge or something. And this is occasionally abusable, but that's all there is here, so we go back to our castle in the sky where we can do such things as save. Like so. And anytime we find one of those blue arrowy tiles, it shows up in here. Later on, we'll be able to move this kind of sky palace dealie around the world to other areas, but for now, we are here in the first town. This does not look like much of a town, admittedly, but we aim to change that with the power of force. And to that end, we speak with a tulip. The underground castle, that's where we're headed. Yes. Or maybe... yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a tulip. So, anyway, this is where we go to fight monsters. They are released from these monster layers, and we can't hit them while they're flashing. So, you have to wait until they become substantial. That's not too difficult. If you're really good at manipulating pathing and such, you can basically just stand right where they are going to come when they're vulnerable and slash them to pieces. This will get harder as time goes on. But we cleared that monster lair and we released an old woman. We hear a sigh coming from inside the house. I love the young people. And that is how we will be spending most of this game. We defeat the monsters, we unlock a thing in town. Now, some of these things open up on a time release, some of them dump all the monsters at once, some of them drop a monster every time the previous one is defeated. Also, some of them path right towards you, and some of them wander off in random directions, much like this. Okay, what have we unlocked now? A treasure. Ooh, it's a medical herb. Anyone who's ever played an RPG knows what a medical herb does. And that's a fireball. And that's bad placement on my part. You just want to keep on slashing these dudes. Slashy, slashy. They got green skin and purple hair, like some kind of creeper. There can be quite a few of them in here. A jewel in the that way corner. Before I take care of that, I want to slash this. Any monster that does not come out of a lair will respawn. So here we have a jewel, which will give us some advice. Don't forget to equip the things that you wish to use, or they will not work. Well, if I hadn't already known that, I wouldn't have been able to kill the monsters in the first room, so thanks a lot. And also we can use these to go back to Grass Valley. Instantly. But we'll have to walk back. So anytime we unlock something in the town, we can go back to them, and they will give us hints or help. Her husband used to be the village chief. One day he suddenly disappeared. Pretty sure you disappeared too, and she wants us to be her baby. And she will call us SirRosser, which is pretty convenient since that's what my name is in the first place. But she will refill our hit points. For free. Very, very helpful, that. Let's move on. So I chose this game because I do actually really love all the games in this series. Warts and all. I do not want to stop and get hit by that fireball. But I plan on doing them all eventually. I'm gonna have to get used to... One problem this game has is that you kind of have to walk on a grid. I've got lots of other great games in the works too. People have been very generous with donations and such. And I will be doing those games as well. But I'm doing this one now as kind of a break after doing some really crappy games. What do we have here? We have released the tool shop owner, and also his house, because apparently the devil just takes the whole place with him when he goes. Yeah, big Jim. Fireball. Fireball, very powerful here in the early game. Sometimes you find gems in the treasure chests, which kind of seems like a rip at times. Alright, we need to get these guys going with the program. I'm kind of taking a lot of damage now, but again, that's because the movement is a little bit awkward, and I haven't played this in a long time. I assure you I will get better. And we've released a tulip, which was certainly worth a whole gold coin. There once was a watermill here before the village was destroyed. There is a man in the mill who runs the elevator in the underground castle. Sometimes you get health back from rescuing things as well. One also wonders why the man in the mill does not run, you know, the mill. But maybe he does both. Actually, I'm not being fair. I know what's actually going on with the mill, but it almost seems too stupid to mention. You'll see what I mean. Going down here, we find a slightly more dangerous foe, the flies. They can go diagonal, but leveling up got my health back, so that's cool. Also, striking enemies slows their advance, so if you're good at button mashing, very useful. And swings from most directions will hit enemies multiple times if they're like right in front of you, or particularly to your character's right. Very easy to hit them. And we got a dream rod. Oops, what does the dream rod do, you ask? It enables you to look into a dream, of course. Another thing about this game is that sometimes it gives you stuff that has no context unless you do things in a very specific order. The dream rod is one of those things. We would have no idea what a dream rod is or why we need it, but it will be explained later. Yeah, took those out. Also, you can grab those gems from behind walls if you use your shoulder buttons to draw them forth. And here we have... Oh, I hope it's the watermill. It's Ivy. I have released the Ivy. You can already tell it's going to be a bridge. Yeah. Very, very simple in this first area here. Now, this bridge that we've just opened up should provide us with a shortcut back to the start of the level. Which is useful because I'm pretty sure we'll be needing to go back to the town soon. These fireball-y, dragon-y dudes. Sometimes it's kind of tricky to get lined up on the exact tile you need to step on. That's alright though. We have released the Watermill Keeper. And by extension, the Watermill. And who the hell is he talking to? He doesn't know we're here. Or does he? The stupid wheel, it's so hard to turn. Well, it's a watermill, so presumably, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but the water should be turning the wheel, operating whatever machinery is inside the mill. And this elevator is talking to us now. He was invented by Dr. Leo, and he cannot move unless the watermill is turning. So yes, the watermill turns the elevator. Which also begs the question of what was this underground area used for before it became a haven of monsters? I just don't know. Oh yeah, there's another thing. You notice we talked to the elevator, so we can't talk only to living things, but sometimes inanimate damn objects. Or animate objects, like this rocking chair. Or maybe it's just a regular chair that's getting antsy. Because rocking chairs usually rock back and forth, not side to side. So many questions. Let's see, we unlock the tool shop. May I help you? You may. Okay, if she knows that we're the one that released her, maybe they can in fact see us when they're trapped in those monster layers. But she'll give us free herbs. How about you, buddy? The guard of the bridge. I guess it is not really necessary to guard such a small bridge. Please pass. You, sir, have made a fantastic career decision. And the Ivy, surprisingly, didn't have things to chat about, so let's get these treasure chests. We get iron armor, and some gems. We will equip the iron armor, which gives us 1 defense point. And this gem. And we received experience. Experience goes up at a pretty fair rate. You never really have to stop and grind in this game unless you just really want to or you get stuck. And there are places where that can happen. Okay, rotating this wheel will move the elevator in the underground castle. I am too weak to turn this wheel. Will you do it for me? Will you try to turn it? Yeah, I guess so. As the wheel started to turn, power was transmitted to the underground castle. So what? Did the wheel just release the stopper on it, or... And you know what? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. I'm just happy that this game isn't full of instant death traps. That's all I ask. Sometimes that's all you can ask. But we had this nifty shortcut to get back here. And we can take out these slimes again. And now we can go up the elevator of destiny. Ah, here's a case of one of the monster layers just releasing every damn monster right at the same time. Yeah, like I say, you can kind of walk up and stab the enemies slowly with your sword. It doesn't do as much damage, but it adds up fast. And this unlocked. An old man. He doesn't look old at all. He has less gray in his hair than the main character. But we are now at the second screen. What wonders await us here? We will find out next time. Until then, this is your old pal Rosser. Take a drink.